always very interesting to me that there are situations when we look at in sports, as an example, like Urban Meyer came out today and said the following, which I'm not trying to be rude in what I'm about to say about Urban Meyer, but boy, does he have a lot that he needs to just kind of be quiet about. Today, Urban Meyer, the former head coach of the Ohio State University and the University of Florida and other places like Utah, came out and said today that I do not, and this is him quoting, or I'm quoting him. He says, I don't believe it will happen, but if you put a rule in the rule book that if you lie to the NCAA, your career is over in college football. You know, sometimes in sports, I feel, especially in football, that we do have coaches that come out and speak on current situations about the current state of where their sport sits. And clearly Urban Meyer here is, I'm assuming he's talking about the Michigan scandal, which in case you missed it this week, Michigan announced that Sharon Moore is going to be suspended for 2 games based off of the cheating scandal, the recruiting scandal, the advanced scouting scandal, in which, guys, they cheated. But I find it really funny that we find it in sports what we should and shouldn't, or who we should and shouldn't give a microphone to about where we should go in the current college state of athletics. It was of my understanding that the year that Urban Meyer retired, he also got suspended. And in the suspension, it was because he lied to the university and he lied at the podium during a media obligation about protecting someone who was committing domestic violence on his wife, allegedly. Allegedly. But it feels like that there's some a burden of guilt there if you're going to accept that suspension and that you weren't doing it. A lot like Sharon Moore. You know, the cheating scandal that Sharon Moore was a part of is not remotely close in the same stratosphere of what Urban Meyer's last suspension at Ohio State was. See, as we anoint a new pope today, the good book says, "Thee who hath no sin, casteth the first stone." And I think it's very wild that there are times that we look up to coaches and what they say, right? Like, as an example, we're going to go to a presidential commission in reference to NIL and the portal. I'm all for it. I'm kind of glad that Trump's getting in the middle of all of this, if I'm being honest. And I don't even mind that he's bringing Saban in. But I think it's wild that you do bring in guys who literally are preaching to every single one of us about legislation, and yet they're the ones that were out there breaking the rules. That's like saying, hey, don't drink and drive. Then you get a couple of shots of bourbon. Maybe you do a whole fifth, or drink a whole fifth of it, and then you get behind the wheel of a car. You know, I could look at Urban Meyer and just really go off on him here. I could say that, listen, Urban Meyer, who is condemning Sharon Moore, who allegedly lied to the NCAA, and because he was the Ohio State head coach for such a long time, that he's trying to take a shot at a rival and get the base of Ohio State people up, that I think it's very wild that you were someone that helped allegedly cover up domestic violence, and that you have a voice now in reference to this. Guys, cheating in football is not the same as some poor, innocent, and let me just say allegedly, any woman physically being abused. It's not in the same boat. Urban's not the only one that does this. Some of you who watch this show and you watch it religiously, you're going to be like, well, I'm sure there's something that Brian Kelly does or this coach does or that coach does. And what's interesting is we do hold coaches accountable, but I don't think that they know always what's best for the sport or their specific sport. Not always. Most of the times they do. Most of the times, these college coaches know exactly what needs to be implemented in reference to what needs to happen in their own sport. I'm with that. But 2 weeks ago, Kirby Smart ran out to the podium and gave this long spiel in reference to how NIL and the portal, it's so awful, and that agents were shopping players that were on his team that weren't even to him a part of someone that was going into the portal. And what's crazy to me is that he goes out this 2 weeks later, does Kirby Smart, and gets the number one quarterback in high school recruiting. Within 12 hours, you have a situation where on 3 reports that Georgia is allegedly going to be giving Jared Curtis $1 million with TV revenue and NIL funding. So I sit here and say, wait a minute. You go out to a podium and you bitch and you moan all the live long day about how things are wrong. But the truth is, guys, let's call it what it is. The coaches are the ones who started doing things in NIL in the portal that started making this the complete chaos that it is. I'm not saying that players don't have any fault in this at all, but the players are the ones that are constantly being blamed in reference to NIL in the portal. I want more money. I'm going in the portal. That team's offering more money. See, I'm gone. We blame the player. But you are going to have to try to convince me that that same player that's on one roster right now that gets poached by another program for more money that the head coach doesn't know. I hear so many times, Blake, they don't always know. It's the people under them that do these things. Maybe you're right in some circumstances, but you better believe that there are always meetings being done about what positions these coaches need for their own programs for them to succeed. Because let's call it what it is, they have bonuses on the line. I don't know if a current or former sitting head coach, even though I may think that Saban, I'm fine with Saban being a part of the lead of the presidential commission to put regulations in place for NIL in the portal. I'm fine with it. I'm okay with it. But I also think it's like the pot meeting the kettle. Guys, you had a wide receiver in Kayshon Boutte who went to the podium in Baton Rouge. And when he was asked about not transferring out of LSU in Baton Rouge and not going to Alabama, when Brian Kelly came in, he confirmed, he said, yes, they contacted me all the time. All they did was call me. And you could say, well, Blake, that's one side of the story here with Kayshon Boutte. It's not necessarily true because in the last 2 NFL drafts, Nick Saban, out of his own mouth, came out and said that they went after players that were on other rosters that were not in the portal to try to come to Alabama in the last 2 years that he was at Alabama. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? So I know that we all want change and we all want legislation and we all want something new, right? Like we all want something new in reference to how the sport is governed. I'm with you. But are we not going to call out the outright buffoonery that is these guys that come out here and say this shit? Urban Meyer clearly has a bigger platform than your boy here. Clearly. I know. I understand it. Him saying that coaches lying to the NCAA should be banned for life or shouldn't be coaching anymore. My guy, you got investigated for covering up domestic violence. You willingly accepted a suspension because of it. And we got police records that, well, this was going on and that a woman was being violated and abused. Don't you dare point the finger at somebody else when you got your own stones. That doesn't mean that you don't forgive people. People make mistakes, excuse me. People make mistakes all the time. I am not remotely close to being perfect. Not in the same stratosphere as being close to being perfect. But I also understand the outright asinine comments that are out here about the sport. It drives me insane, if I'm being honest. It drives me insane. So whether you want legislation or not, I'm in the boat that I want some form of legislation. I think that it's been too chaotic. Guys, I know for a fact, and you know for a fact, that players are getting poached because coaches, and I don't care what you tell me as someone who covers a team individually, that the head coach isn't involved about players not knowing, especially when you got Saban going out there in the draft saying, yeah, the kid didn't go in the portal. When I was at Bama, I was going after him. Bro, do what? Do what? Guys, you have Nick Saban red-handed admitting to tampering. We just going to let that fly? Oh, well, he's not here anymore. We're just going to let it fly. Okay, let's say we do let it fly for what it's worth. We let it fly with Nick. Oh, Blake, everyone's doing it. I think the biggest excuse in all of sports that we lie to ourselves on and say, hey, everyone's doing it, and if I want to be competitive, I got to do it too. You're right. To be competitive, you got to do it too. Fans have to give money to collectives to be competitive. You're right. They have to. Sorry that that's the case to all of the fans that will listen to this and everybody who wants their team to be very great. It does not mean that why we are not going after Saban in the last two drafts for saying that he openly tampered. What are we doing? That's the guy that you put over the commission. Now, I don't know if there's a better guy to do it, if I'm being honest, who will know all the intricate details. But he talks about an even playing field. Nick, my guy, you flipped a kid on signing day from LSU to you, and then literally he posts on Instagram of him having a Hellcat. Pot, meet, kettle. Pot meets kettle. The fuck? I really don't. It bugs me. It bugs me. I see some comments in the chat. We got from Nola. Nola P says, Blake, we got to have some regulations. Nola, I'm with you. The sport of football, basketball, baseball, we got to have regulations. I get it. This thing with Urban Meyer today is ridiculous. It's utterly ridiculous. Guys, Saban being out there in the last two NFL drafts admitting to tampering, and we don't make a big deal out of it. I mean, and I know the first time he said it, it kind of was a big deal, but that nothing comes of it. I got a question. Here's my question. They won the SEC in Saban's last year. Why don't you pull it from him then? You have the head coach admitting, Greg Sankey, you have Nick Saban in the last two drafts admitting to violating a level 1 violation of your bylaws. A level 1 violation. You have him admitting it. What are you going to do about it? Statute of limitations are not up. If I'm a Toledo Rockets, I 1,000% am hitting and filing some form of an injunction on Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Nevertheless, we're live. Everybody do us a favor by hitting the like and share. Alexander says, could be just Ohio State fans, but I wanted to see if it was true. Says, have heard anything about Bryce Underwood getting his money? I have not. And I'll be honest with you, I hope the kid gets paid. Like, that would be a horrible situation. I will say this. I think that, let's just say it is true and he's not getting paid any money within the next couple of months. We're going to have an article out there about him not getting paid. I find it hard to believe that he's not getting paid. I find it very hard to believe. But, again, their head coach has a 2-game suspension. Brad Speck says Saban quit because everyone could do what he did in silence for all those years. No more advantage for me. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Like, well, and listen, do I think that it was time for Saban, right? Like, I mean, he's in his 70s. Like, even if none of this was going on, would he still be doing it? I don't know. Like, I really don't know. But again, I don't think that coaches who have been a massive part in this shit going as crazy as it is should be the spokespeople for this. They have caused a lot of this because they have caused a lot of it. If you don't think, with all due respect, that as an example, Ole Miss a year ago didn't started tampering when they hit all of those dudes in the portal from their defensive line, you're insane. You're insane. And you know what? Ole Miss fans will be like, well, Blake, you cover LSU. Why don't you point the finger at your own self? Well, it drives me insane. You know, I wish that I can come out here and talk about the first American Pope in world history. The Vatican's probably going to get a Buc-ee's or a Quick Trip or a racetrack. I mean, you know that every Cardinal's going to bong a beer now, right? But good on them. I will tell you this, and I will just say this on the day that we have a new pope. My wife is Catholic. My entire Italian family is Catholic. So please do not take what I'm about to say in the wrong way. But I will say this. The King James Version, 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 5, says, for there is one God, and there is one mediator between God and men, the man Christ Jesus. Here's what I'll say. The Bible, God's word says that there should be one mediator. I have seen today a lot of people attacking the Catholic faith. And for that, I feel like that also boils my blood. I will tell you, for me, as 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 5 says, for there is one God and one mediator between God and men, the man Christ Jesus. Do you know what a mediator is? So when I go and ask God for my forgiveness of my sins, which probably Urban Meyer had to do, and I've had to do a billion times over, but he had to do when he covered up domestic abuse stuff, allegedly, so we don't get sued. Again, allegedly. I don't know. I wasn't there. But if that was true, and I asked for forgiveness, the Bible says there's one mediator. I am glad for those who practice the Catholic faith. One mediator. I keep messing it up. But you need one person to go to God for you, and well, the book says it. Now, as I'm sitting up here on my pulpit, all of you that don't agree and attacking the Catholic faith, stop. Stop. For all of those who don't agree with it, that's a completely different thing. The attacking has got to stop. All right. Caden Harris says, Bishop Blake preaching. Hey, man, it's not me preaching. I am just saying that is what the Bible says. And if you're a believer in Christ and you don't believe in the Bible, then you're not a believer. David Woodard says, it's kind of like how the U.S. government catches hackers, sends them to prison, and turn around, hires them to work. Saban might be the best at catching the activity since he was a part of it. Maybe he is. Maybe he is. But I don't think he's like actively going after any coaches or anything. I think what he's actively doing is trying to get legislation, which, quite frankly, I think we all need some form of legislation. I don't think anybody disagrees with that anymore. I think that there are massive hurdles. To be honest with you, those massive hurdles are, how do you get past Title IX? How do you get past capitalism? Like, how do you get past that stuff? Because, guys, here's the truth, because NIL is a thing. I keep hearing about NIL and let me back up. I keep hearing when we need legislation for college football, it's a lot of you that are saying, well, we got to have a collective bargaining agreement. I don't necessarily disagree with that, needing to have a collective bargaining agreement, but there's something that's massively different in American sports when it comes to how those guys get players. Like, for example, did Dylan Cruz decide to go to the Nationals? Did Paul Skeens choose to go to the Pirates? I don't think either one of them would have chose to go to any one of those places. They both chose to go to LSU, though. See, recruiting is a massive thing. And we keep talking about legislation, right? Like regulations and legislation that needs to be passed. Guys, there is absolutely nothing, zilch, that you can do about a booster going out there and paying a kid money to sponsor his business. Nothing. Not a damn thing that you can do about it. So, yeah. Capitalism has to have guardrails. No, it does not. No, it does not. Then we're not American if it has to have guardrails. Legislation has got to be, I mean, guys, you going to stop capitalism? I mean, you can't. You can't. I don't know how they do it. All right. I don't know how they're going to do it. All right. When we come back, we're going to break down, give you the keys to victory for what I think LSU's got to do in this series versus Arkansas. We'll talk about that. Does LSU have a problem in recruiting? Blake, they got the second overall class. What are you talking about? Do they have a problem? What do you mean? I don't know. I'm going to let y'all answer that inside the comments in a little bit later on here. And if we have time, thoughts, questions, concerns, you can put them inside of the Rudy Crew chat. Let me take a quick break. Let me pay some bills. Before we do that, I need to talk to you about our good friends over at Service Hawk Digital Media, where they have the right leads, smart systems, and real growth. Get a marketing system that works for you today by going over to servicehawk.io today. That's servicehawk.io today to generate those leads. Get those smart systems and start with your business and sales having that real growth. Again, that's servicehawk.io today. Telling your boy Blake sent you on by. Everyone do us a favor, hit the like and share to all those groups if you're on Facebook and to all those social media pages. You're watching us, listening to us on YouTube, like, subscribe, notification bell, and wherever you listen to podcasts, rate, review, and subscribe. When we come back, we got a lot to discuss. Stay with us. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag.
He will sell your house and find you a new. Well, Tyler's the man, he's here for you. If you want to buy or sell, well, it's not too late. Dial 955-0008. Just call 955-0008. Y'all call Tyler, he'll shoot you straight.
Guys, let me tell you about our good friends over at Grand Slam Heating and Air, where your comfort is their top priority. At Grand Slam Heating and Air, they promise to provide customers with high-quality HVAC service at an affordable price while ensuring the homeowner peace of mind. From their office to your home, they guarantee the best hassle-free experience around. Efficiency and comfort is their game. Let them make your home Grand Slam today. At Grand Slam Heating and Air, they're offering their annual maintenance plan starting off at $18.75 a month and also doing those $99 tune-up promotions. They provide free estimates for system and ductwork replacement, as well as offering financing to get the job done with no money up front. From Baton Rouge to Hammond to Covington, they're all around. So what you need to do today, give them a call at 225-380-9065. That's 225-380-9065. Or go over to their website, getgrandslamair.com. That's getgrandslamair.com, where your comfort is their top priority. We're back! You know, there have been some very funny things that I have seen today, speaking of a new pope being selected. Do you think when the new pope walked out to greet all of the new Christians of faith, that when they were in the Vatican, that right before the selection was made, they heard this sound? And with the very next pick, the Cardinals have drafted none other than Pope Leo the, I think, 14th. Any 14th? Out of Chicago, Villanova University. But there were some very funny things today that I saw in reference to it. Like Adam Schefter reported, white smoke, a new pope has been selected. He tweeted, he soon will appear at the central window of St. Peter's. And a bot account underneath it says, from Jarvis is his name, says, this is not sports, please delete this. Then someone under him says, what do you mean the Cardinals just drafted him? Oh, God. Oh, God. This guy is lame. Are you talking about me or are you talking about the new pope? Because that's not nice for either one of us. And you don't really have to be here. I know I'm lame, but here's the thing. I get to do it full time. You don't. All right, let's get to it here. So, Arkansas baseball versus LSU this weekend, and in a weekend that is going to more than likely be A hell of a weekend for a lot of different reasons. The only bad thing that we can think, or I could think of that could happen this weekend outside of losing the series, the weather is going to definitely play a factor into this one this weekend. I don't know what it's going to do. Hopefully it subsides or they change game schedules. I don't know what they're going to do. Now, if you know Jay Johnson and what he's done since he's been here, they'll play games starting late at night and way into the early wee hours of the morning that makes your boy go live at 2 a.m. Central Standard Time in the morning. And what's so interesting about that is I don't care what happens. I don't think that any rain factor matters for you. Rain, sleet, snow, shine doesn't really give a Rudy Poo about what needs to happen this weekend. See, that's just a byproduct of what everybody is going through the environment. You know, I'd rather be at home when these situations happen. You know, like when LSU was on the road last weekend and they had to play a doubleheader back-to-back against Texas A&M. I mean, that is a very tough thing to do on the road in a hostile environment. You split 1-1. You're exhausted. You go into game 3. Jay Johnson speaks today and gives a press conference today in reference to it. He goes, guys, I'm just going to tell you, not playing the midweek game really helped. Not playing the midweek game this week really helped. Now, he didn't say that in so many words, but dudes are exhausted this time of year, and I understand why. Does it help you reset? Now, Jay Johnson talked about that today of having and he said, that they had a week that got reset about what happened and just how the season's been going. And guys, they're still a top 5 team. I mean, they're still doing well, even though some of you believe that they're not. You know, Jay Johnson can cure cancer, and some of you would still believe that he's the horriblest coach on the face of the planet. But you're going into a series with Arkansas. Guys, you've seen their hype videos. You've seen their coaches go and talk to their players and say, everything goes through us. They're a good team, but we dictate about what's going to happen. Now, I don't hate the coach for saying that. What else is he supposed to say? That's coach speak, whatever. But they had the foresight to post it. And they're saying that, hey, if LSU has anything to do with what they think they can do, it goes through us. We're better than them. It's what a coach is essentially saying. There's no weather factor that from your mental focus needs to be here. If any of you have played sports, you know this for a fact. When your coach and you, or maybe even some of you that were part of a team that did something spectacular, and for those of you that weren't, this is what made those teams spectacular. Now, a lot of those teams that won big stuff, they had much more talent than other people. But one thing that they did have is when adversity struck or when they had to get something done, the focus and the buy-in and the lock-in was there. Guys, I'm not going to spend any time on weather. Not going to do it. Can it clearly affect good or bad for LSU this weekend? Without a doubt. I'm not saying that it won't play a factor. I'm not saying that it didn't play in the factor in game 1 when you beat Tennessee, because I do think it played a factor. But everybody plays with the same timeline. Everyone plays with the same things going on. And quite frankly, I don't think it cares, because you got to go in there this weekend and take care of business. This is it. Now, I don't know if Texas is going to really take a nosedive in the last 2 weekends in the SEC, but here's what I do know. What I do know is if you win the regular season SEC or you don't win the regular season SEC, whether you win the SEC tournament or you don't win the SEC tournament, guys, quite frankly, I could give a shit. Now, do great teams, do elite teams care about having those accolades? Yeah, I'm with you there. You know, Jay says that the 2013 team might have been the best college baseball team of all time, where I don't necessarily disagree with him. What I would say is that there are some teams out there that might beg to differ because they won their conference and they won the national title. And by the way, some of them didn't lose in Omaha to get there. Some of them won against some really good players in the past. Like I said, even though if I agree with Jay, some of those teams would have their things to say about that. So when we talk about this, or if the guys clip this, I don't know if they will or not. Maybe it'll be clipped for the morning. I don't know. And whether you're listening to it on a clip or not, it doesn't matter. Guys, this weekend, nothing about the weather should change you being locked in and focused. Now, if you start a game and it starts raining and you get in a bad disadvantage, sure, it can affect the weekend. Some of those things are just out of your control. But LSU this weekend, from a baseball perspective, guys, they got to control the controllables. They got to control the controllables. What are the things that I can make sure that I take control of and seize it? I don't know of anybody that has been successful in anything that they've done that at some point they did not take control over their actions to make sure that they hit that goal. A lot of you in life have set goals for yourself, and I would just tell you, if you haven't, do it. It is a very fun challenge to set a goal, get to that goal, go for that goal, and if you fall short, you fall short. But set a realistic goal about what you think that you can hit. It's fun to do it. The goal this weekend is to take 2 or 3 out of Arkansas, and I think that you can. Here are the ways that I think that you can. Guys, on the mound, I don't know if I can come out here and realistically say, hey, Anthony Ianson, remember how you went 9 innings last weekend versus A&M? You got to do that again. I'm not going to do that. What I will do is just be yourself if you're Anthony Ianson and if you're Cade Anderson. Because the last month, for what it's worth, both of those guys relatively have been very freaking good. You know, a lot of people in the beginning of the season don't act like it. You're not one of them, some of you. But a lot of people were saying, man, Nate Yeske's got to go. But, guys, your bullpen was the one that pretty much stood up. And I know that Zach Cowan gave up the bomb in Game 3. It's not the reason you lost. I mean, ultimately, was it the reason you lost? Okay. It's not the reason you lost. You couldn't swing the bat all weekend. You were lucky that you won Game 2 in some ways. Kind of non-lucky by not winning Game 1 about some of the calls that you got. So I understand that. This weekend, everybody, bullpen, starters, whatever it is, no matter what happens, against this team, there's one thing that you must do. You must locate your pitches. You can't be up there being wild. You can't go up there to throw just to throw. You got to have good pitch sequencing, and you got to have good just pitch calls all around by Nate Yaske. Guys, this team, for what it's worth, when they are on, this is the most dangerous team at the plate that you will face. Last night we talked about it, but Arkansas has 5 guys in their lineup, 5 of their 9, and probably should have 6 of their 9 if it wasn't due to injury. But 5 of the 9 guys that you will see at the plate have double-digit home runs already this season. We talk about the Alloy brothers, one at short, and one that will bat third, cleanup, doesn't matter. But the Alloy brothers will be right there, 1 and 2, or in this case, 3 and 4. But the Alloy brothers combined are almost at 30 home runs as a family. You have Davilan, who's hitting .351 with 13 bombs. If Logan Maxwell would have been healthy throughout the season and fully there the entire time, he would have it. Cozell, Iredell, 11, 12 home runs. Guys, what has gotten Arkansas beat with an offensive lineup this freaking potent? Florida, what did they do? Well, guys, it was when Florida started making their run and everybody started taking them very seriously. What did they do? They located the pitch sequencing by Kevin O'Sullivan and staff was brilliant. They kept hitters off pace. You're on the road, hostile environment. And quite frankly, all of those staffs, whatever for whatever it's worth, I don't want to say that they contained Arkansas, but there were a lot of times throughout those weekends, whether it be Florida, whether it be Georgia, whether it be A&M, regardless, 3 of the last 4 series that they've lost going into that Texas series before they swept. What did they do? In critical moments, in critical times, they took it right to Arkansas, and they could not get the big hit to win those series. It's not like that they weren't scoring runs, though. And here's the thing. When you look at what Arkansas has done over the last month, they have lost 3 out of the last 4 series. But here's what scares me. What scares me is when you look at that Georgia series, they lost 2 games, but they still scored 6 runs in doing it. I look at what they did at A&M. And outside of game 3, guys, there was some very potent play from them and a lot of very potent stuff at the plate. Now, I will say I do think that A&M was the team that kept them at bay at most and locked them down for what it's worth. You see, A&M's struggles have not really been on the mound all season. It's really been at the plate. Because they took it right to Arkansas and won the damn thing that they can do about it. Everybody plays in the same factors. When we make excuses for our team, like the doubleheader that they had, and they had to split games 1 and 2, and everybody bitched and moaned and complained about it and said, well, the only reason that they lost the series because they've had to play a doubleheader. Everybody plays in the same elements. Everybody's going through the same shit. The teams that controlled the controllables won. That Florida series was pretty dominant by the Gators. Very dominant by the Gators. They located and they painted the outer part of the black. And there were just a lot of times that these big power bats for Arkansas couldn't get it going. Now, I know I feel like that I have a really good pulse from some of you. The pulse that I feel from a lot of you actually is pretty easy. Blake, they just swept the number 1 team of the country, man. They swept the number 1 team of the country. They could come in here and beat us. You're right. They can come in here and beat us. 1,000% Arkansas can come into Baton Rouge and beat you, without a doubt. There's no question about it. Arkansas can beat you in the box this weekend, without a doubt. Without a doubt. It's going to be interesting to me to see how Arkansas responds. Because the reason I think it's interesting on how Arkansas responds and how you respond, which we'll get to next. What's interesting to me is, guys, I said it on Monday. I said it last night. I'm saying it again today. Texas is beat to shit. They're beat to shit. Bevo is so worried that he's going to the slaughterhouse that, I mean, I had a joke, but it made no sense. Regardless, they are beat to hell. Their Friday night ace is gone. Max Ballou is gone. So you see the sweep, and we don't put the context in. Well, Blake, what's the context? Guys, they have 10 position players that can go right now. They only have 6 arms that they can just go to in general without having to throw guys like Aiden Moffitt out there who is not ready for this action. He's not. Guys, I think that you can beat them. You got to be selectively aggressive at the plate. So what does LSU got to do? Guys, the bullpen, the starters, those guys, listen, even if they have a bad weekend, they have shown what they can be. And I do think, for what it's worth, the bullpen, like guys like Maverick Rizzi, guys, Maverick Rizzi went in there against A&M and shoved. Guys, what happens if you get a performance again like you did from Chase Shores? The reason that so much was put on your pitching staff last weekend against A&M was mainly due to the fact that you couldn't score runs to save your life. I mean, Josh Jordan, as much as, as much as people are like, man, Josh Jordan, those sins that he had this weekend were awful. Well, I think if you ask Jay Johnson and you ask Josh Jordan about him sending guys home to the plate and it working out twice, 2 out of 3 times, he would tell you, brother, runs are at a premium. We've been shut down all weekend. We got to make them make a play. We ain't scoring shit. We got to be aggressive. And LSU's got to continue to be selectively aggressive. The first half of that Tennessee series, let's call it what it is. You got shoved upon. And the ace that you're going to see on Friday or on Saturday, whatever happens this weekend, in game 1, Root is going, their ace in Root is going to come out there guns blazing. This will be the 4th starting pitcher that's a left-handed guy that you're going up against. And I got to be honest with you. Quite frankly, I don't think that you've been seeing left-handed pitching worth of dog shit. What's crazy is that Derek Curiel, as an example, almost is batting 300 points less against lefties than he is righties. 300 points. Guys, do what? Almost. Even he's not seeing it. Guys, they're going to run out a damn strong lefty in game 1. You're going to have to find a way, at least 2 out of these 3 games, you're going to have to find a way to get out ahead of Arkansas, because their problem has been when the going got tough and they needed to go to some other arms out of their bullpen, they've gotten rocked. Now, when you think of Arkansas, you think of what they're going to do on the mound, and they got some dudes, because there's going to be dudes that they throw out this weekend that you got to just dogpile on. You got to dogpile on. Because if Florida can do it, if Georgia can do it, if A&M can do it, by God, so can you. So can you. And this team is going to have to start being more selectively aggressive. Their approach this weekend, in my opinion, has got to change some. Someone's got to see the ball deep and try to take that sumbitch in the right center field. I think that's the problem that's going on with Danny. I think that's the same problem at times, not a lot, but at times is what happens with Curiel. That's why teams are shifting against him. Take the fastball deep, let it ride, throw the knob at it, and take that sumbitch the other way. The fundamentals of hitting with these new age kids sometimes goes out of whack. You know who will do that, though? Arkansas. Guys, as much as they scare me with the power that they have, of the 5 guys that have double-digit home runs, they have one guy that has 17 extra base hits, one guy with 14, another guy with 9, another guy with 14, another guy with 10. Guys, they will use the other side of the field with a lot of their hitters, and they will do it with power, and they will knock your block off, because selectively at the plate, they are being aggressive. You got to do that too. I feel like this team has the ability to do that. They're deciding not to. Somebody's got to get in there and say, let's do what we're supposed to do. Instead of playing our ball, let's play Jay's ball. Pause. Guys, if you're not selectively aggressive at the plate, if some of these dudes are just going to – look, I'm just going to say it. Outside of Bear Jones, if they're going to just groove you a fastball to some of you like Derek Curiel and others, you got to smoke that bitch. The likelihood that you get multiple fastballs in an AB is very slim against these big aces. I think that's what's been your problem. You got to ride that fastball and take that sumbitch the other way. Get the barrel to it, see it deep, change your approach. The great Pete Rose said, never let a pitcher tell you that you're in a lull, or what he means by lull. Never let a pitcher tell you you're in a slump. If you're getting jammed, back up in the plate. You're rolling over on anything. Get up in the plate or get up in the box. You're late on everything. Get back in the box. Make a adjustment about how teams are pitching you. Danny Dickinson, as an example, because teams are going to pitch into Danny Dickinson. He has got to choke up, and I know this sounds dumb. The bat speed for him right now on this inside pitches is why he's been hit the most. Teams try to do it to Gavin Guidry because he hogs the plate. He's got to back up in the box, back off that play a little bit. See the ball deep. If they're going to start throwing to you outside, then fine. It's what you want them to do. This team in Arkansas can execute, man. You're in for a dogfight. And quite frankly, I think that you got a massive 700-pound gorilla on your back. That's how it feels. Because you're coming off of a loss and a series loss to Texas A&M. And in that loss, I feel that a lot of your tension that I've seen out there has been, Blake, we ain't winning the big series. We ain't winning these big series that we need. Well, you got one more of them. Because right here in the studio right now, the opponent that you got next weekend is currently getting their asses stomped. I feel like you're going to take it to them. Are you going to take it to Arkansas? So you got to have really good approaches at the plate. You got to be selectively aggressive to beat a team like this. You got to locate. You got to have great pitch sequencing. Guys, quite frankly, you need to do a lot of things very well. Very well. They are a great team. They're not a good team. They're a great team. Blake, you just said they lost 3 out of the last 4 series, and you're wondering how they respond. You're right. That's baseball. Newsflash to all of you out there. That's baseball. And I do wonder how that they're going to respond. But I'm also wondering how your ass is going to respond to all this too. I'm wondering how you're going to respond from having a very bad weekend at the plate. No excuses for rest. None. No excuses. You didn't have a midweek. You've had all week. Exams going on. You get them done. You get to chill out, relax and all cool and all, shooting some b-ball outside the school, and a couple of guys that were up to no good started shooting trouble in your neighborhood. You got one little fight. Your mama got scared. They sent you to Baton Rouge with Uncle Jay and Bel Air and the Bayou Bel Air. I'm going to take you to win 2 out of 3. I have faith that you can do it. This is a tough place to play, and I know weather is more than likely going to be a factor. I hope it's not, but I think it will be. Guys, you got to take it to them in some way, form, or fashion. You got to just do a lot of things very well. You got to have big performances from a lot of different players. Your young bullpen, I mean, look, you got a lot of rest in your bullpen. Even if you got to go to a William Schmidt. Zach Cowan's got to figure something out. He's got to figure something out. He's been touched a little bit the last 2 weekends. He's got to figure it out. Look, you throw 90, 92 miles an hour. If you don't locate, buddy, you're getting rocked. And quite frankly, the changeup that he threw, I don't think was in a bad spot. Called a little too much of the plate, but it wasn't a bad spot. This is it, man. This is it. You have so much staring into your face right now. You have so many things that you can look at right now and say to yourself that, look, man, we take this series. Look, we take this series from Arkansas. I'm not saying you're all but guaranteeing that you're going to be a host, but man, I start feeling like you might be. Go take it to them. I have faith you can win 2 out of 3. All right, let me get to a quick break. Does LSU football have a recruiting problem? I'm going to ask you the question about it next. Stay with us. Guys, I want to talk to you about our good friends over the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company. Are you facing tough times due to an injury from a car accident, navigating the complexities of divorce, or purchasing a new home? At the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company, they understand the challenges you're going through, and they are here to help. The lawyer team of Ernie Drake III, Ryan J. Williams, and Summer Vignair, along with Morgan Daniels, have the experience and proven track record to give you that peace of mind. Give them a call today at 985-386-7600. That's 985-386-7600 to schedule a free consultation at their brand new office located in historic downtown Ponchatoula. They're also doing a special, the AYS special. If you're refinancing or closing on a home in Southeast Louisiana, request the Drake Title Company to handle your closing. If you mention Blake Ruffino and AYS, you're going to receive a $400 discount on title fees. Again, give them a call at 985-386-7600. Let them know that Blake Ruffino sent you. Guys, you might know my good friend Carol Falls and all the great service that he provides over at State Farm. He is your good neighbor after all. But did you know State Farm has surprisingly great rates as well? Along with the great neighbor service, State Farm agent Carol Falls has surprisingly great rates for everyone inside the state of Louisiana. So call him today at 985-395-4300, 985-395-4300 for all of those surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life insurance needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, and individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to the State Farm underwriting requirements. Guys, let me tell you about our good friends over at Grand Slam Heating and Air, where your comfort is their top priority. At Grand Slam Heating and Air, they promise to provide customers with high-quality HVAC service at an affordable price while ensuring the homeowner peace of mind. From their office to your home, they guarantee the best hassle-free experience around. Efficiency and comfort is their game. Let them make your home Grand Slam today. At Grand Slam Heating and Air, they're offering their annual maintenance plan starting off at $18.75 a month and also doing those $99 tune-up promotions. They provide free estimates for system and ductwork replacement, as well as offering financing to get the job done with no money up front. From Baton Rouge to Hammond to Covington, they're all around. So what you need to do today, give them a call at 225-380-9065. That's 225-380-9065. Or go over to their website, getgrandslamair.com. That's getgrandslamair.com, where your comfort is their top priority. All right, before we get out of here, we talked a lot about football this week. I've made a lot of enemies, not a lot of friends. So let me ask you this. I'm going to ask y'all a question. I'm not even going to answer it yet. Inside the chat, do you think that LSU holistically may have some problems, not a lot, but some problems in recruiting in reference to defensive back? The reason I ask that is because not too long ago, you were in a situation where you had the number one safety in your state, arguably number one player in your state in Blaine Bradford. And he committed to Ohio State. Now, this isn't the first time that the number one safety in your state has gone out of state to play for another program. You know, I think of Derek Williams. I think of Jacoby Matthews. I think of Wardell Mack. I think of all of those guys. Actually, the last four top safeties in your class decided to go elsewhere. But today, it was crystal balled by On3 that Carr's Hayward Howard is likely going to be committing to the University of Texas. Now, I will preface this all by saying that none of this is over with. And Hayward Howard, Blaine Bradford can easily sign on the dotted line with LSU. Then you see Lamar Brown, the number one player in your state, tweeting out, well, looks like I might need to take a trip to Austin. Okay. Guys, you can't keep missing the top DBs in your state. Can't do it. Now, if you do, you have to go get the DJ Pickett's of the world, which you did. The problem is, for the one DJ Pickett, I have 4 or 5, and in this case, if it holds, 6 situations where you're not getting the top DBs in your state. The Blaine Bradford one, for me, definitely more than corner, because you go out and get Haven Finney from Los Angeles. So you're making it up at corner the way that you see fit, right? The way that you see fit. The problem has been, and what might be, guys, you cannot continue to allow that to happen. Can't. You can't. So I ask you, I ask all of you, do you think that we have an issue there? Some of these inside the chat. Spectrum says Corey needs to recruit safeties too. I don't know if Corey wants to recruit safeties. I'm sure that he wouldn't mind doing it. I'm sure he wouldn't mind having the whole DB room. And maybe, that's where things get lost. But a lot of different teams have corner and safeties coaches. Because Texas had it. Ohio State had it. Notre Dame had it. You had it. Tons of teams have safety coaches. I mean, what else are you going to do? Get a special teams coordinator and instead of a safeties coach? Okay, fine. Let Corey have it. Doesn't matter to me. But I don't know if Corey wants it because he's recruiting one big corner a year and shutting it down. I mean, Aiden, Blake, he got Aiden in. No, he didn't. No, he did not. That was a personnel staff thing through and through. And if he told you, if you asked him that right now, he would tell you that. Don't play with me. Don't play with me. I know what I'm talking about on that one. So it just comes down to the fact, is that a problem? Alexander says LSU was late on Howard. Way late. It's not like they didn't know who he was either. David says CR needs to coach the whole secondary and not just corners. Maybe. Or, and here's an idea. Here's a wild idea. Like you just did with AJ Halsey, you got to do in high school recruiting now too. Can't keep doing this in the portal. You got to bring kids in and develop them. Can do it. Guys, either you're going to spend money in the portal or you're going to spend money on high school recruiting. You choose. Because you're going to have to spend the money. You choose. I would rather get the kids from inside the state that you can develop, mold. Guys, 6'2" corners don't grow on trees. They don't grow on trees. Now, you've done a really good job. A very good job so far. But you do get guys like Aiden Hall. And Aiden Hall is a big deal out of Carr. Now, he plays corner for Carr. Had a pick 6 in the state championship game. But, guys, in my opinion, and per what everybody else's opinion is that he's going to be a safety. You needed and you need Blaine Bradford to be a part of that. The number one corner in your class. Okay, that just right now is Hayward Howard. Inside the state, I say inside the class, is Hayward Howard. And guys, quite frankly, if he's good enough to go to Texas, he's good enough to go to you. He's good enough to go to you. Amcat says, you're always going to lose if you Landon Collins comes to mind. In the same position? Guys, you were doing that. We were begging for Les to be fired because he kept losing the lineman to Saban. Y'all don't come in here to me with that. Don't come in here with me to that. I don't know, man. I don't know. David says not just a money thing, but a winning thing. Everybody wants to win on the biggest stage. Well, then you got to go get those kids, man. Got to go get those kids. So something to monitor. Hopefully they flip them if they commit elsewhere, or one of them did commit elsewhere. You got to flip them, man. You got to flip them. Want to be a dynasty program, you got to get the best recruits. I mean, you do. All right. We're out of here, man. If we have a game tomorrow, we'll see you tomorrow for the post game. Y'all have a good night. Peace.